ESP. As always, I'm your host, Josh. And like usual, this episode is brought to you by Great Lakes Discs. Whether you're looking to buy some new cool gear or your new favorite disc, head over to Great Lake Discs. They'll have you covered. Just hit the link in the Linktree link and start your shopping right away. Tonight's guest is he got my attention because he's kind of a newer face in the Western New York disc golf scene this year, and my buddy Bradford definitely tipped me off to him. So I was like, heck yeah, I gotta get this guy on the show. So without further ado, I'll let my guest introduce himself, where he's from, and where does his disc golf journey even begin.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Josh, for having me on tonight. My name's Andres Ripley. I currently live in Buffalo. I've been here now for a little less than 2 years, but I'm originally from Massachusetts, where I've spent most of my life. I've been playing now for, almost 8 years at this point, which is pretty crazy to think about. It's been a fun journey, and I've been in the pro scene for a few of those years and really love the sport. So happy to be here tonight.
That's really cool. So since you're in the pro scene, do you like travel a lot for tournaments, or are you finding yourself to be kind of like more of a local player?
That's a good question. I would say that, like, for example, when I was back in Massachusetts for the first couple of years of me being a pro, I was traveling a lot across New England, just like a lot of us do. So playing a lot kind of all up and down the coast there. Um, and now with my ability to obviously live in Buffalo and kind of go back and forth for disc golf and for work, I'm able to play, all in New England as well as across Western New York and some other places in New York too. So traveling a little bit, but for the most part, staying on the East Coast and the Northeast of the US.
That's really cool. So I imagine that you've been able to play Maple Hill a few times, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, I'm trying to think of how many times I've actually played Maple. Probably at least 30 to 40 times I've played Maple. It's about an hour from where I grew up playing. So it's been nice to actually have that as a resource and be able to play all the layouts and meet some cool people over there. So yeah, I really enjoyed the course.
Have you shared a card with like Simon ever? Because I know he plays that
Yeah.
course a lot.
Yeah, I've actually been lucky to play with Simon a couple times. I think I've had, let's see, I've played one skins match with Simon a couple years back, and then we played at the Sunstein Open this past year, which was a B tier that we have every year back in Massachusetts, which is a lot of fun. So I was able to be on his card then, and that was actually a filmed round by Greatest Media Team. So definitely go check out that footage if you haven't already. But yeah, it was a really fun round.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. What's it like playing like against Simon?
That's a good question. It's there's always a little bit of nerves, I would say, for everyone at first. But at the end of the day, he's a disc golfer like the rest of us. He likes just to throw plastic in the woods half the time, like we all do. So it's actually pretty funny. Like I think maybe on the third or fourth hole, he had a pretty rough break on the putting green, and we were all just kind of laughing about it because it's just that's just how it works. We're all out there, and we all make mistakes. We all have some great shots sometimes too. So it's always fun playing with Simon. He's very relaxed on the course, and it's always a good time.
Yeah. So out of all the courses that you've ever played, like what is your favorite course? The course that you're like, I gotta make sure I get out to this course every year.
I would say for me, it's probably just the Smuggler's Notch property in general up in Vermont. I think I kind of go back and forth on which one I like more. In general, I like woods golf a lot more than open golf, but Fox Run, I think I might like a little bit more than Brewster. But honestly, both courses are amazing. It's a great property. And for me, it's between those two if I had to decide what my favorite course was. Besides that, we have a lot of great ones again in the general area here in New York and then also back home. Nantucket, which is one of the islands off of Massachusetts, is obviously a very fun course to play, very flat, fun pars. I also like Clement Farm a lot, which is one that probably not a lot of people out in New York know about, but it's in like the northeast corner of Mass and is always a fun time to play as well. Very beautiful course. Um, and out this way, I'm still deciding what my favorite course is, to be honest, in Western New York. You have a lot of good ones. I was very, very surprised when I moved here. I didn't really know much of what to expect. Obviously, when you first find out you're moving somewhere and you look on UDisc and you see what the courses are, you see that there's like two or three of the top rated courses in New York. And I got pretty excited about that. And then to be able to actually see them in person and try them out, it was a blast when I first moved here. So still not sure which one I like the most out this way, but there's a handful that I really do enjoy playing.
So what's a handful? Probably Bond, Emery, and maybe Shorewinds.
What's crazy is I actually haven't played Shore Winds yet, which everyone tells me I need to get out and play. I
Yes.
know, it's pretty crazy. I think I had to go back. I had some family event last year for like the Shorewind Shootout event that took place. So I wasn't able to be there. So hopefully I'm in New York when that happens this year. Um, but yes, Bond is always fun and just beautiful holes, very picturesque. Emery, I've really enjoyed. I like the very intense wooded golf with some open shots, and of course Royalton, I think, is also a gem that we have out this way. So those are probably the ones that most people like the most. I think probably Emery or Bond are my favorite, and then Royalton's like a close third. But depending on the time of year, wind conditions, weather, all that kind of stuff, it all just depends on which one I want to play the most.
Yeah. Have you gotten out to Rochester at all to play like Shadow Pines or Chili?
I've actually only played Parma out in Rochester, which is also
Okay.
crazy. I have a lot of courses I need to try out there. I played the was it the American Flying Disc Open? I'm pretty sure is the tournament they had out there.
Yep.
I played that in 20. I think that was 2024 when I first moved here, which was pretty fun. We had a lot of pros, and I know the year before it was I think it was a silver series, or the DGPT was included in it a couple years before then, and there was Ezra Robinson and others shooting some really crazy scores out there. So it was fun for me to play it. I'm playing the tournament there, and I've got out there a few times to practice the course, but definitely still need to get out to Chili and Shadow Pines and some of the other great ones they have in Rochester.
Yeah. So, since you've only been here for like playing this area for about a year, what do you think makes this area so special and kind of like a hidden gem for disc golf?
That's another really good question. I think there's a couple factors probably. One is just I think the community also surprised me a lot when I got out this way. Like hearing that, for example, Wednesday night traveling dubs has been happening for like over 30 years consistently is insane to think about. And I think that just speaks to there's always been someone to step up into to fill the role of someone else who might be stepping away from the sport or moving away, for example. So I think just the community and the desire to constantly be playing out here has helped to fuel um, just more courses and more opportunities around here. It also sounds like, and again, with my limited lack of knowledge on the actual history, I'm not sure how positive this is, but it seems like there's a lot of semi-newer courses. Like I think Royalton's only a couple of years old. I think Bond is less than 10 years old. I'm not even sure how old Emery is, for example. And I know there's a couple others that have been slowly coming into works around the area. But I think just that there's more people like Sam Castiglione and others who are really investing their time and wanting to see this area become even greater than it already is and really putting in a lot of resources into it. So I think having people like that, having a good community in general really helps to fuel the stuff that's going on here and what the potential is. And I know there's a lot of people who want to make it even bigger and better. So looking forward to playing a small role in whatever that might be in the coming years while I'm still here.
Yeah. So how do you think like how big of an impact it's going to be having Am Worlds here? Even though you're a pro, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'd imagine that you and your team, Recycling Buffalo, would be involved with helping out with getting things ready. So how do you think having Am Worlds here is going to be a big impact?
It's huge. Even just seeing as a small example, like the work that was instantly done at Bonds as soon as they announced it. Like some holes are changing. You have tee pads being updated. You have a bunch of new baskets coming in, which is obviously a big draw when you see beautiful shiny baskets as a beginner. When you're just kind of like driving through or walking through a course, that helps to draw people in a bit more. So I think those are just some of the examples of like what AmWorld is bringing to the area, just more attention in general as to what Buffalo has to offer. And then you have a lot of the counties and like the towns and just like municipal staff who are like, wow, we have a huge opportunity here. We have a lot more people who are going to be, visiting our park systems here. We want to make sure that we're putting, our best foot forward and making it look as beautiful as possible. So I think that just that is another way that we're seeing more resources be poured into the courses we have here in Western New York, and it's just really exciting to see. And Recycling Buffalo will be playing many different roles for AmWorlds. We're just happy to support the great work that others are doing and whatever role we can fit in and just make it as great as possible. We're happy to do that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that come August.
Yeah, that's gonna be so cool having like a ton of people from like outside this area and even from outside this country coming in to here to play.
Sure. Yeah.
That'll be pretty cool. Um, so how long have you been at the pro level? Have you been there for many years, or is this kind of something that you more recently gotten to?
I think I've been playing pro tournaments since maybe 2021. So I started in 2018. I didn't play tournaments probably for about a year, and then started MA3 and kind of worked my way through the different divisions until MPO. So I want to say it was 2021, maybe 2022 that I started playing MPO tournaments. Um, And I actually started, I guess my general like frisbee, my love for frisbee started from playing ultimate frisbee. So I played a lot of ultimate in high school, middle school, and high school, and in college. I had family who played ultimate frisbee. So when I was young, I was even out kind of throwing discs around with people. And I think that had a lot of positive and negative effects when it came to me transitioning into what disc golf was like. Um, like I have old videos of me throwing. It must have been like a groove or some very high speed end of a disc with like ultimate frisbee form, stepping with the same foot I was throwing with, and it looks hilarious to look back on now. But I think there were some positives in me just naturally knowing how to throw a frisbee that helped translate into disc golf. But also there were some issues with form for a while where I was throwing it like it was an ultra star, and discs are very different than ultra stars are, obviously. So it took me a little bit just to, I think, get used to that. But I've been able to pick it up, I think, pretty quickly compared to some folks, while other folks pick it up even quicker than I do, obviously. But yeah, I think it's been about, I think this will be my probably my fifth season in the MPO field.
Nice. So, how much do you practice, and like what do you focus on like more of your practice time on?
Well, I practice a lot when it's nice out. Obviously, right now it's difficult to practice in Western New York. But I'm lucky that we have Recycling Buffalo that gives us, some space, and Spartan Disc obviously too has some space for us to putt in and do putting leagues. Same with Fat Man's over there in Amherst. So when I can get inside and practice right now, obviously a lot of it's focused on putting, which is good. I think it's always good just to keep your putting feeling fresh. And the most important piece, in my opinion, when it comes to putting is just confidence. So constantly just trying to make sure that I feel confident in my putt and refining little elements of it here and there, something that I constantly work on. But when it's nice out, I feel like my practice depends on what I'm playing in the near future. So if I feel like I'm playing a certain course and I want to get rounds in there in general, then obviously I'm going to kind of put myself in that practice round mindset when I can in that space. Um, or if there's like a specific element of my game that's been feeling off recently, if my forehands have been feeling a little bit funny, or if I'm not throwing the driver as well as I want to, um, I'll just try to implement that into my practice rounds or get out in the field if I can at places like ECP or other areas where you can do some field work and then you can get right into the course and try to add that piece into what you're doing in your round. So it really depends on the time of year and what I feel like needs the most work. But I really just try to hit on all those key elements when I can throughout the year.
You're a lefty, right?
I am a lefty, yes.
So do you feel like that's kind of a disadvantage to like some of the courses around here, being a lefty, or do you think it's just kind of like no different than being a righty?
I think it's definitely different than being a righty in general. I think we have a lot of there's just more righties than lefties, so you tend to see more right-handed course designers than left-handed course designers. Although I do think that recently in disc golf, obviously, and when you think of the grand history of disc golf, you see a lot more people having forehands than there used to be. So you see a lot more shot shapes that cater to the righty forehand, I would say. So I think that in Western New York, it doesn't feel too much different than other places. I think that we have a lot of park style courses, I'd call them. So there's not like super thick rough, and you have the option on many holes to take different lines and different approaches to shots. So I'm able to shape lefty backhands when I want to, but I think it's very important for everyone, but especially for lefties, to have somewhat of at least serviceable forehand, because there's going to be a lot of holes where you need to be able to have a shot that moves from right to left. So forehands have always worked for me. My form is a little bit unique in them. Not as unique as your form, I will say, but it is a little bit unique with forehands. And I'm always working to try to get my shoulder more involved. For example, I think my forehand is very wrist focused, which I think can be good for some quick snap. It doesn't always help with a lot of distance. So trying to get more of my body into it, I think can help me get a little bit more distance. So to answer your question, I think that it still favors the righty at most courses more than lefty. But I think if you play in the woods enough, you're able to learn how to shape shots and bend things from right to left, even if you're not a predominantly righty backhand player.
Yeah. You being a lefty, I'm surprised you like Royalton so much.
Yeah, there's a there's a few holes at Royalton that as soon as I think about the course, I'm already thinking about having to throw like a 350-foot forehand, which is basically my max distance. Honestly, like I can basically get a forehand to get a full S turn and get around 350 on a good day. So yeah, there's definitely some holes at Royalton that are a little bit difficult for me, but it's good to get that practice in. I definitely want to continue working on that forehand and have it be a key piece of my game and not have too much injury behind it. I have had elbow pain in the past, which does come from poor form. So luckily, the past couple of years, I've been able to avoid any like injuries or tennis or golfer's elbow, for example. But I think that's just from stretching out a lot, trying to strengthen muscles around my elbow area, and try to tweak the form to get more of my body into it, not put too much stress on my elbow. So, been working on it for sure.
So, excuse me. So, like during your off seasons, do you do a lot of like weight training and stretching, or you just kind of just take it easy and just kind of just work on your form when you can?
I would say somewhere in between. I think we can all be doing more weight training and stretching, but I'm trying to implement that this season and more than I have in the past. Um, Last season, I did a lot of it too, just because when you're in this area of the country, again, we get pretty cold weather, a lot of snow, so it's hard to get outside. We're back in Massachusetts; it can still be cold, but at least there's not as much snow on the ground, so you can still get outside and play. So yeah, I've been trying to do a lot of weight training just to get my body a little bit more healthy, and a lot of stretching as well, which I try to do before every round, honestly, since I started having a lot of elbow pain. I always have like a stretchy band with me, and before every round, I'm always getting some stretches in for my elbows, for my shoulders, my legs, just trying to make sure that my body's a little bit loose before I start throwing for the round.
So, speaking of like before rounds, what's your pre-tournament routine? Because I really don't have one. I just kind of show up. I throw like two putts. I'm like, all right, let's go wing it.
That works for some people. That does not work for me though. I feel like there's kind of like a sweet spot for me where I want to get there like a certain amount of time beforehand. If I know the course very well, I don't need too much time to warm up. But if it's possible, if it's like not a flex start and I can actually get out and practice some holes, I want to try to get in at least 5 or 6 holes when possible. So usually for me, it's getting there maybe an hour or 45 minutes before the round, stretching a lot, uh, getting some good putts in. With putting for me, it's like I don't want to. There's always a sweet spot of like you don't want to putt too little, but you don't want to putt too much. Like if the putt feels good after a couple, you don't need to keep hammering it in before the round. You want to just trust that feel and that confidence when you're on the course. And besides the putting, obviously just trying to get some throws in for forehand and backhand with approach discs and mids and drivers and everything, just so that way you're feeling loose and feeling ready for the round.
So, when you do like your pre-tournament putting, do you keep it close distance, like 15 footers, or do you just like go 50 feet and toss it?
Definitely start closer than farther. You're gonna have a lot more putts in the circle that hopefully than you are in circle two and beyond. So it's good to make sure the putter's feeling good from close. And I do like to try to get at least a couple step putts in or jump putts in from circle two, in case I do have a couple of those during the round. But I would say that I usually start a little bit closer and then move my way back.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people during like the tournament season like just do 50 footers. It's like I'm thinking to myself, that's not gonna build much confidence heading into the round.
Correct.
Like that's the worst thing that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So I see more recently than I think what was it about 2 weeks ago you announced that you're going to be a Prodigy this year.
Yeah, very excited about that. I'll be sponsored by Prodigy in 2026. I think that there's a lot of potential for what my disc golf game could look like this year. I am working in a new bag. I did throw a couple Prodigy discs before the sponsorship was announced. The A5 has been a staple for a little bit, and the M4 kind of came in and out of the bag, I would say, a little bit. So those are some of my current favorite discs in the Prodigy lineup. But yeah, working in some new discs and looking forward to seeing how they fly for me in tournaments this year.
So what drew you to Prodigy instead of like Trilogy discs or like Discraft or MVP?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that drew me to Prodigy. One is just that they're making some really, really cool frisbees right now. I think for a while, people have had mixed feelings about the product that Prodigy was putting out. And I think in recent years, that perspective has really changed for the positive. I think Will Shoestrick and others have done a really amazing job at pumping out new frisbees, new plastics. The marketing, I think, has been awesome. I think Luke Humphreys is a great face for any company, and I think we're lucky to have him here at Prodigy from all the work he does with OTB skins and then just doing well in tournaments and being a good person overall. So I think the company's doing great stuff. And I think the other big influence that brought me to Prodigy was my friend Dylan from back home in Massachusetts. He's been sponsored by Prodigy now for a little over a year. And he's a 10-20 rated player, so he makes all frisbees look really nice, but he has a really good forehand and just has a pretty clean game. So that also influenced me a bit to start throwing more Prodigy and made me feel like it was a good time for me to try to be sponsored by the company. And I'm very lucky that they accepted me for this year and looking forward to an amazing season with them.
So what's the coolest disc so far that you've seen Prodigy make?
That's a good question. I think my current favorites in the bag, I would say, are the M4 and probably the FX4. I also like the P Model S, but I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But I think those two are my favorite just because you can get some good turn out of them, and then they have a little bit of fade at the end, which is a classic shot that I really like to have. Get a either hyzer flip it or get a little bit of turn. But those have probably been my favorite molds so far. The P Model S is my go-to putter right now. I've always liked like more shallow glidey putters that don't really have a big bead on them. So
Mm-hmm.
the P Model S is actually the most glidey putter that I've ever had, which is pretty crazy to think about. And I can really trust it from anywhere in the circle and beyond. So really enjoying that right now.
That's pretty cool. So what actually is in your bag? Let's hear about what the lineup is for this year.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be some tweaks to it because it's only been, again, a couple, like maybe a little over 2 months of a full Prodigy bag. But right now, again, putting with P Model S's, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. For throwing putters, I've kind of gone back and forth on a couple things, but I really like the PA1 in premium plastic for throwing. I think I have one right now in 400 and one in 500 plastic that both feel phenomenal. I think the pivot is also going to be one of my key throwing putters. People like to putt with a pivot. It's, again, one of the newer putters from Prodigy. It has a nice bead on it. It has some good glide to it. But I've never really liked to putt with beaded putters. I like to throw them a lot. So I have a baseline Bruins stamped pivot right now. I do love the Bruins on my Boston teams. And so I've been loving that disc right now. I can get, again, it's a little bit beat in, so I can put it on hyzer and it goes very straight and gets a little bit of turn for me. A5 is a great disc. I think everyone should be throwing A5s. They're very glidey, but also have a lot of overstability to them. So you can really trust it on shots that you want to get a little bit farther than an A2, for example, which doesn't have as much glide. M2s and M4s for mid ranges, and MX1 for overstable forehands with mids. I really like that right now as well. The fairway lineup, I'm still trying to figure out a couple frisbees for, but I would say that my go-tos right now, like I said, the FX4 is great. I actually like the F2 a lot, which I'm not sure is a super, super popular mold for some people, but for me, the couple of F2s I have go very straight and then they fade at the end, so I can really trust them in a little bit of wind. And then for more overstable fairway shots, I like the feedback a lot, which is a really, really fun disc to throw. The different plastics have pretty different ranges of stability to them, but I have one that's 750 Glimmer plastic that is very overstable, so I can throw it on forehands and trust it in the headwind and know it's going to dump to the left for me as a lefty forehand player. And I have a couple others, and I think 400 plastic that are good for backhands. Again, they have good glide, they go straight for a little while, and then they fade at the end. So those are the fairways that I'm liking a lot. And then I think for distance drivers, I'm throwing a couple different things and still want to try the Falcor and a couple other molds. But right now the go-tos are a couple D2s and a couple D3s. I have some D3s that are a bit older that have some cool stamps on them. They have, that older feeling plastic. But there's also a couple new ones like the Luke Humphreys. I think it's his Rookie of the Year D3 that I like a lot. And they just released another, I think it's it's called the Druid, which they just released another D3 that people are really liking. So in general, the D2 and D3 are working for me, and I'm able to find a range of stability to have some really overstable ones for forehands and shots that I want to throw into headwinds with some more flippy ones that I can get some max distance on. So for right now, that's what's in the bag, but we still have a couple months till tournaments start up, and I definitely want to try a few more molds and really develop some more confidence with everything before we get into that tournament season.
Have you tried any of their hybrid drivers? Because I know that they do have those. Because
Yeah.
I've looked through Prodigy line before. Like when I first started out, I was kind of like interested in what they had to offer, just because I was kind of looking. But have you tried throwing any of those? And
Yeah.
what's the big hype of those?
I think they're great. I've been throwing, I actually do have an H1 in the bag as well that I forgot to mention, which is really good for the slot that I have it in. It's like specifically for very overstable forehands where I really want to release it on a lot of anhyzer or have a strong headwind, and I know it's not going to turn over. It's always going to fade for me at the end. So I have an H1 in the bag. I've tried out the H1 V2s, which are the ones that you can get a lot more commonly now. A little less overstable than the OG H1s, but still a great disc and have some glide and a little bit of fade at the end. And then the H3s also I've been liking. Similar for that like overstable fairway slot where you can hammer on it and know it's going to fade at the end on forehands. And gets a little bit of a skip as well. So I've been liking those. I haven't tried any others. I think people have recommended the H3V2 as well, but I haven't had a chance to really try it out quite yet. So that might be ones I need to add to the bag in the near future.
Okay. And then also for like people who don't understand like the Prodigy plastic, can you explain to everybody what like because people heard you say like 400, 500. So
Yeah.
what does that actually mean?
Yeah, I'm from what I understand, and again, I'm also still learning a lot about what the different plastics mean. But the higher the number you go, I'd say the more durable the plastic is, the harder it's going to be to beat it in over time. So the highest number, for example, is 750. So that's when you hear the number. Again, the higher up, the more overstable it is. But then you also have like other plastics that can be incorporated into that, like 750 Glimmer. The Glimmer is like a type of plastic where you see some more specks and shine to it. You have Spectrum, so you could see like 500 or 400 Spectrum as well. You have like 400 Glow. So there's other elements that can go into what the number is associated with. But in general, the higher the number is in the plastic type, the more overstable it's going to be, or rather, I guess, the more durable it's going to be. But then when it comes to like the actual numbers, like for example, when you have like a D1 all the way up to like a D4, 5, or 6, the higher that number goes, the more understable it is. So like a D1 or an H1 or an F1 tend to be very overstable, where you have something like a D4, like an H7, for example, which is a really good roller disc. That number means that it's going to be more understable.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
So do you have any plans of like maybe eventually coming out with your own stamp on a run of discs and
Yeah.
then
That'd be a lot of fun. I think I would love to do that in the future. Right now, again, I'm still trying to get my feet under me here in the new company and just represent the company as best as I can. But I would love to do a custom run in the future and get a stamp together. I've done that in the past when I was actually back in Massachusetts. I had an old stamp on some discs that people bought, and it was a really fun time to have my name, plastered onto an actual disc. And I hope to do that again with Prodigy in the future.
that'd be definitely cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you like did you was it like your own like little logo that you came up with or was it a cool design that you just kind of came up with?
It was a design. I want to shout out Alan Boyles, who's someone from back in Massachusetts. He's a graphic designer and does amazing work. He's done a lot of like tournament logos for people, and done a couple frisbee logos for people as well. So I worked with him back in Massachusetts. Maybe, gosh, that must have been at least 4 years ago at this point. But he helped me kind of craft a design based on the home course that I play and some of the elements that I really like in that general logo, and then other pieces that mean a lot to me. So yeah, he helped me work on it, and I was able to get that with the previous sponsor, and it was a great opportunity. And yeah, again, definitely want to make sure I can do that in the future as well.
That's pretty cool. So you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that you're a couple months away from tournament season starting. So when does your tournament season officially start?
Yeah, it's probably going to start, if I had to guess, like end of March or early April. I have a lot going on in the springtime, and I'm actually getting married in June. So
Oh, congratulations.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, a lot of my time is obviously going to be taken up by that. That's a major priority right now. But I'm definitely going to find some time for tournaments when I can here and there in the beginning of the year, and then um, come spring I'll get a few in, and then after the wedding I'll be getting a lot in, later in the summer and then into the fall. So it's going to be a very busy but very fun year. I'm looking forward to it.
That's really cool. So what are your goals for this year?
I think I have a couple goals. I would say A is just to have confidence and enjoy myself out on the course. I think when you have some new discs coming into the bag, it's a learning process. You have to be able to be patient with yourself and enjoy the ride, I would say. So I'm definitely looking forward to, in general, this year is trying to have fun on the course and enjoy as much as possible. Definitely want to win a handful of tournaments, as I always try to do every year. So looking forward to hopefully taking down a couple B tiers, and I'd love to win another A tier. I think every year the local pros always want to try to win an A tier or two. So that's a huge goal of mine this year, is to feel confident with the bag and then trusted enough to play well and then take down an A tier. So those are a couple of my goals. Other goals are just travel when I can back and forth between Massachusetts and New England in general, and over here in New York. Maybe get some tournaments up in Canada. I've already played a couple courses over in Canada, and definitely want to try to get some more in that way. Maybe a couple tournaments too. So those are the main goals for this year. I would say have fun, learn the new bag, try to win some tournaments, and just enjoy the process.
That's pretty cool. So when are we gonna get a practice round in together?
We got to do it, man. I'm definitely down to do it at some point. I guess a question for you is, do you have a favorite course in the area, and is there one that you feel like you play more than others in general?
Favorite course. I like courses that like kick my butt completely. So I like Shore Winds and Emery. Like I play terrible there, but and that's kind of why I like it.
Nice.
Courses I play a lot. I play Bond, Como, and Joseph Davis a lot.
Gotcha. That's
So
cool. That's cool. I actually Como was one of the I think it was probably the second course that I played when I came here, and I'm very impressed with Como. I don't think people talk about it enough. I think it's very fun. Obviously, it's pretty open on a lot of shots, so the wind can really affect you, especially on some of those water holes. But
yep,
there's some really cool, unique shots out there for Western New York golf. So I really like that course as well.
yeah. So do you have any questions for me?
I guess another question I have is just that it seems like you've been doing an amazing job with these podcasts, and it's really cool to see all the guests that you have come on. So, I mean, how long have you been doing this for at this point, and what even got you into wanting to host a podcast?
So I've been doing this for about, I would say probably six or about 5 or 6 months. I've been doing this now. And what got me into this was I was a part of RC Disc Golf podcast with Jimmy Ray.
Oh,
And
cool.
we'd always talk about our rounds and everything. And I was kind of like, all right, I'm getting bored of talking about my rounds and how terrible I am. Like, guarantee everyone else is tiring of hearing about it. So I was like, you know what? How about I interview people that don't get the chance to get interviews? Like, because you think about like like even on the pro tour, like the only people that get the interviews are the ones that are constantly winning tournaments or a big name. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I give a chance to have other people who aren't big names, who don't even have to win tournaments and don't even have to be good at disc golf, share their disc golf stories? So that's kind of where it all came from.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, 5 or 6 months is a short period of time, and you're doing amazing with it. So it's really cool to see again all the guests you have coming on, and just highlighting not just Western New York disc golf, but disc golf kind of across the country and the world and what people are up to. So I really like that platform that you're giving people.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Got any more questions or is that it?
I think that's the big one. I guess how long have you been playing for? That's another question. And another question is what it sounds like you do play some tournaments. So what division are you playing currently or planning to play at least in 2026 in tournaments?
I'm going to my fourth season. I'm currently playing in MA2, but I'm gonna probably dab into MA1 a few times this year because I'm starting
Good.
to feel like I'm finally getting some good distance. So we'll
Good.
see.
That's awesome. I think no, I'm not going to call anyone else out, but there's some people in on the Recycling Buffalo team that I give a hard time because I feel like there's people who are playing down in divisions when they should be playing up at least one or two levels. I'm a big fan of really challenging yourself, and even if you're not going to be in contention to win, and if you're playing up in a division, you're surrounding yourself with way better talents in general. So it's always good to be playing with people who are better than you to try to push yourself to become a better player. So I love the idea of you moving up to MA1 and highly suggest that you do that as much as possible this coming year.
Yeah, even when I do practice rounds, I'm always searching for like pro level guys or like guys that I know will just completely smoke me. And it's just like I not it's like I don't enjoy getting smoked, but I enjoy watching like what higher end players like decide to do for a hole. And then it's like, why did you choose to do that? Like, why didn't you like go this way? And it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool to pick their brains when you're out on course.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's always good to be playing with people who are better than you, and you can learn a lot from those people. So makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, where can people find you to follow your journey?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Andres Disc Golf, ANDRES Disc Golf is my Instagram page. I've been posting a good amount recently. I'm going to keep upping that throughout the year. You can also find me on Facebook, Andres Ripley, and I'm usually on a handful of other pages at the Recycling Buffalo page. You can see me on a lot and some other platforms as well.
Cool. I look forward to seeing you out there this season.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. I just want to again shout out the sponsors for this coming year, Prodigy Disc, which is really exciting and looking forward to throwing some new plastic. Disc Golf 978, who has been my main retail sponsor now for the past 4+ seasons. They're based actually out of Massachusetts, but they have a lot of good frisbees and have a good website. So definitely check them out at discgolf978.com. And then, of course, Recycling Buffalo here out in Western New York. Really fun meeting all these great people and becoming part of a group of people trying to change the disc golf game out in Western New York. So those are the sponsors for the 2026 season, and looking forward to a great year.
Heck yeah. All right. Have a good night.
Thanks. Really appreciate it, Josh. We'll talk soon.